Hello, welcome to Brunch Latam. I hope you are having an excellent morning, afternoon, or evening, and expect that today's webinar will be full of new insights and knowledge from our experts. My name is Ramses Sanchez. I am the Commercial Director of Latam-Eurasia Consulting Group. On behalf of the Latam-Eurasia team, I offer you the warmest welcome from the city of St. Petersburg, Russia. I want to start today's webinar by briefly explaining that one of the main objectives of Latam-Eurasia is to create bridges of dialogue between the Latin American region and the Eurasian zone. In particular way, the online sessions at Brunch Latam aim to approach experts that can provide objective information regarding their professional involvement in strategic fields. When talking about doing business and decision-making, organizations face diverse factors of uncertainties. Therefore, organizations are looking for tools to strengthen their customer outreach and innovative organizational designs to obtain more benefits. And in the previous months, the accelerating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, organizations and states have been directly affected by volatile business conditions. Now, more than ever, firms must adapt and quickly do business solutions through innovative solutions to survive and obtain higher revenues. As a result, business intelligence helps organizations to collect, store, and analyze data produced by companies' activities. A critical goal having massive information is to make efficient use of this data to raise business opportunities using technology for processing knowledge. Business intelligence could sound complex as a term regarding the use of methodologies and data analysis to improve management activities. More simply, business intelligence is a collected information from different areas that can be used to make an investment or business decision by relying on facts and not only on a gut feeling. Therefore, I am delighted to welcome our experts and partners from Mexico and Russia that join us today. How are you, Victor and Daniel?
Hello, Ramzas. Hello to the audience. Everything is fine here in St. Petersburg, except maybe the weather.
Perfect, perfect. It's humid, and I believe in Mexico is not so cold, right, Daniel?
Yes, you're right. Greetings from Oaxaca, Mexico. Usually, I stay in Mexico City, but this weekend I decided to came to this region of Mexico, beautiful region, very close to or nearby the Pacific Ocean. But I expected to have sunny days, but it's raining a lot. But okay, uh, the thing is to rest and relax.
So thank you very much for both of you, and thank you for the audience for your time. So if you don't mind, let's start today's activities by briefly explaining to our audience the agenda. So in the first part, we will have a presentation of each of our speakers, who are kindly reminded that we have around 10 minutes per presentation. And at the end, we will have some space to interact with our audience, having a questions and answer session. Finally, I would like to thank the audience that is following the streaming, and I can remind the possibility to send your questions directly in the comment section on Facebook to share them with our guests. And if you are watching this video after the online session, do not hesitate to write your comments. We will follow the conversation and be with you in short. So let's begin. And if you don't mind, Daniel, I will start with Victor. Okay, Victor, to have a brief introduction about today's relevance of doing business in Russia, Victor Mironov will speak about Russia 5 important steps. But before give you the floor, Victor, I would like to give a brief review of your professional experience, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Victor Mironov, he holds a master's degree in law from St. Petersburg State University. And regarding his professional background, he has vast experience in international business and foreign direct investment projects. As managing director of Team Consulting Group, he helps to provide legal and accounting support to Russian and foreign companies. During the last years, Victor has helped provide services to over 500 international companies running a business in Russia. Currently, Victor is acting CEO and board member of several Russian subsidiaries of international companies. Please, Victor, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Ramses. Thank you for the introduction. Hello again to everybody. And would it be possible to start to make a right mood for everybody to start with the video?
Sure, of course. Give me 1 second.
Yes, thank you. I will comment it a little bit as it started. It's a video which was made by one of companies who was actually doing some export-import business in Russia, and it's not our. It's not owned by us, but it's so good this video, and it makes a good mood. So I would like to start. How about sound? Do you think it would be possible to also?
This is Russia. It's beautiful, very beautiful, old but new, full of life, cultural, multicultural, cross-cultural, big, very big, genuine, glamorous, time-conscious, and sometimes fast, with good appetite, natural, cool, hot, smart, rich, very rich, the champion, steady, ready for anything, creative and talented, curious, modest, but hungry, very hungry, promising, and very generous, very, very generous. So different and so new, no wonder you want to open it. But so different and so new, you will never know what's inside. You never know what attitude is behind business in Russia. Race, fun, fight, circus, good company, reward. You never know what way your negotiation goes in Russia. Formal, informal, relax, extreme, super extreme. You never know what is the best guarantee in Russia. A paper, two papers. A paper giving guarantee to the previous two. Money, big money, signature, plus a stamp. Good relationships, very good relationships, family relationships. Customs in Russia, you never know. You never know when, you never know where, you never know what, you never know who, you never know how much time and effort it takes. You never know how time goes in Russia. Sometimes time just stops. Time is not just money, it's big money. At the same time, time is nothing. Time depends on the mood. 5 minutes could turn to 5 hours. Deadline could be final and could be not. The work start doesn't mean that everybody starts. Deadline is the line you go along, not the one you cross. How much time is it now in Russia? You never know how Russians finally manage to do it on time. Stuff in Russia, you never know. Who does the work? Who is responsible? Who will stay loyal? What is a Russian capable of? You never know what skills you will get making business in Russia. To get dressed warmer, to look deeper, to drink more, to sleep less, to speak Russian without accent.
Okay, I don't know if you had the same late video as I had. Hopefully not, but anyway, at least the sound help you. At least you had a chance to enjoy the sound and understand what the video about. I will then start my slides. It won't take a long time. So has been already introduced by Ramses. Our company name is Team Group, and we are doing business in Russia and helping to do business in Russia. The company started from 1992. I'm, let's say, a second generation in our company. My father founded it 30 years ago, and I run the company for the last 10 years already. Started working in the company even before. We do different kind of services to mostly to SME companies and also to many international companies having offices in Russia. The main services is legal assistant and bookkeeping company, also staff management, and also issues related to the sales, marketing, and events. We have over 200 clients to whom we serve on a daily basis within the year, and within our history, we provided services to more than several thousand companies. Ramses already made a short introduction of myself. I will not stay too much on that. The main thing which I would like to emphasize that I'm quite practical in things concerning to do business in Russia, especially for international companies and foreign companies, and will be happy to be helpful also to Mexican companies which are considering entering Russian market and cooperation with Russian partners. My presentation today would be quite basic, considering I can talk hours and ages about legal aspects and financial and tax aspects of doing business in Russia. But I understand that most of our audience, they are not so familiar with the detailed issues so far. So I will start from the very basic and practical aspects. First of all, if you are a foreigner and you are coming to do business in Russia, the one thing you should not forget is to have your passport with you. And in addition to a passport, you should remember that you should have the visa in your passport. We have quite specific requirements how the person should enter to Russia. Of course, nowadays in COVID situation, not every country's citizens, not every countries are easy to access. But the general rule which exists nowadays is that if you fly with an airplane, you can enter Russia. And then, of course, you still have to have the visa, unless you're from the visa-free states. But getting visa is not so much complicated anymore, and sometimes it's even possible to come without visa if you have a special, complied with the special regimes. When you are inside Russia, you should remember that your passport is still the main document, and it makes sense for you, if you're a foreigner, to keep it with you every time. And when you do with Russian authorities and the different transactions, it's also valuable to have your passport translated to Russian, because not only your name, surname, and date of birth may be needed for this kind of transaction, but also other information. So it's quite important technical thing. If you're coming to Russia for the long term, if you're coming to Russia for more than 1 week or more than 3 months, or for a longer term, if you're studying in Russia or working in Russia, there are special immigration formalities you should comply with, and this is something which should be kept in mind always. I have one short story to tell about these issues. Once I've been asked, I got a call from my customer at actually quite a late time at evening, and he told that he was coming to Russia from Finland, and he was arrested by the police. I was very cautious about that, and I was trying to find out what's the problem. And when I spoke with the police, I understand that he got a new passport, and he has the visa in his old passport. And he tried to enter Russia in this way, but it was not possible because having a new passport, his visa already expired, and he should get a new one. So he was not allowed to enter to Russia, and as he was coming to Russia by the train, he had to stay in the border guard office for a night in a special room, which was like 3-star hotel, but still it was almost considered him like small prison, and then he should go back at this next day just because to get proper visa. So keep in mind that this is quite important matters. When you're talking about doing business to Russia, most probably and most popular way is, of course, to making some sales and deliver some products or services to Russia. Even if you don't have yet have a company in Russia, please remember that your products and your intellectual property should be protected. So one of the first things we suggest we remind business people to do in Russia is protect the trademark, the brand which you are operating, and it's possible to have international trademark registration, which will also cover Russia. So this is very valuable moment when you are talking about potential competitors who can copy your product, who can copy your trademark, and use and take off your market. Also, when you are going deeper and you have good business, you can use the trademark payments, the royalties, as a way to do re-export of the profit from Russia. You always have some partners. And if you're talking about some local partners and you're talking about trade business, you should usually have some dealers or distributors who are assisting you to enter the market. One thing to know, to remember, and to learn here is to not to give too many trust to them. And every time when you have this kind of relations, remember that exclusivity and it should be exception, not the basic rule, because giving exclusivity to your product to the market for long term, you can basically lose the market for this term unless the distributor and you should be always hoping that distributor is doing everything fine, everything correct. It's for every product which is imported to Russia, you should have a certification, and it's very important not to have a certification to the dealers, because otherwise nobody else would import this product with these certificates, even your company or your daughter company, if you decide to open it after. So you will like give away your product to the dealer. And one important thing also to know, it's remember, it's quite often when you are just selling X works from your factory, or you are just delivering products to the port and give it away to your seller, that you should check your buyer and not to do the business with the offshore companies and the brokers who are like intermediate between you and your final and your client. So you can lose money in this case. And of course, if you talk about marketing costs, they should be also checked, and otherwise all the margin which dealer is making for you, it will stay on dealer side for some uncontrolled costs. It's very important to have best local service providers. I will talk about three main aspects. First of all, it's bank. It's bank. It's very important counterparty in Russia, especially for international business, because banks are agents of the government for controlling international transactions, and for every international transaction, you should provide proper documentation to the bank. And often, when you deal with some banks, you have more problems than help from them, because they are more worried about how to protect themselves from and how to comply with all the regulations, but not about how to help you to develop the business. So that's why it's not just the brand, it's not just financial issues which you are doing with the banks, but also they can affect your business. Of course, lawyers, accountants, auditors, it's a key partners when you do the business in every international country, but also in Russia. And please remember that the key factor is to find those who are foreseeing problems or helping you to avoid them, instead of making a lot of noise and spending a lot of efforts to solve the problems when they already exist. Staff and the people, it's a key factor when you do with the new market. Two simple issues, simple but very difficult issues when you do on the Russian market. It's very hard to find right people, but if you find the person, if you hire the person, you should remember that it's not very easy to get rid of the person if that's the wrong person. That's why you should remember such tools like recruitment and headhunting support, staff leasing. So you don't hire the person by yourself, but by some special company which can manage the employment much better than you. And then, of course, when you need to get rid of the person, to fire the person, it also makes sense to use consultants and lawyers. Otherwise, you can pay a lot and maybe not even once. I can have one example for you here. If you have fired some person, so in Russia it's not so easy to fire the person. You couldn't just say, sorry, guy, go away. So even if you pay him a big termination fee, it's still possible that person will go to court and object this termination. So and this court can take 6 months, 9 months, and then if you lose it, you should have to pay the salary to the person for all this period which he was in dispute. So be very cautious with such steps. Three main things to summarize. Do business with the best partners, and think first, act after, and enjoy doing business in Russia, which was also the message of the first video. My name is Viktor Mironov. You have here my contacts, and of course you have contacts. You can get the contacts from Ramses. I'm thankful for your attention today, and I'm open to any kind of questions. I think you now have basic information, and the detailed information can come from me further. Thank you. I give the floor to Ramses. Ramses, I hope I haven't been taken too much time.
It was perfect. It was perfect. Thank you so much, Victor. I believe that this is very helpful information, mainly for Latin America, because Russia is kind of far away country, very different for all of us. I can speak by myself as a foreigner in Russia. And if you don't mind, I would like to have a quick question for you before giving the floor to Daniel. In your opinion, what is the top challenge and advantage as a foreigner or as a foreign company when doing business in Russia?
So the top challenge, I think. So let's start from adventure and advantage. The advantage is so that Russia is 150 million population country, quite educated and population, technology-based economy, a lot of strong technological and educational institutions, and at the same time we still have a lot of psychological moments from the Soviet times when Russian economy was deficit based, and Russian people love to spend money. They love to take new things, buy new products, try new things. So it's really so that you can get a lot of this market, meaning income, people, marketing, or even technologies for your business. So this is the main adventure, but and the challenge is actually to get it, or let's say to reach the point when you are starting getting it, because Russia is big. It's quite far away from many countries, and we have a lot of specifics. Our language is different, our alphabet is different. We have specific regulations and administration. In many ways, our people from the government, they are mostly thinking about themselves and then only then about other people and business. So not every time they will support you, but sometimes maybe even make problems. So to pass through this labyrinth or through this forest, if you talk about Russia, so that's maybe the biggest challenge. That's why you need to have a lot of first of all understanding where you want to get, and then have some resources, and then to have good fellows who will go with you and who know the best. That's in a nutshell.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your comments, Victor. So I will be back for you with you. I mean, so now I will give the floor to Daniel to come with us. And Daniel, thank you so much for being here, and it's a pleasure having you here. And before your presentation, also I would like just to give a brief presentation of you, if you don't mind.
No, please.
Thank you so much. So Daniel specializes in political systems and public policies, creating proposals for political campaigns and government agendas. He has helped develop a methodology to identify business opportunities under a cluster framework to implement soft landing strategies successfully. His cluster's experience helped create a document that includes the anatomy of the economic cluster with the most significant impact in Mexico, published by the Tecnológico de Monterrey. In the last years, Daniel has led diverse strategic foresight projects and provide political advisory at Grupo Sustava as a project manager and strategist. So please, Daniel, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ramses. And well, let me give you some context about how we developed this framework to identify business opportunities. And well, when we talk about innovation, there are a lot of myths around it, but everything started in 2008 when we were involved in a significant project between some relevant actors in Mexico, the Ministry of Economics, more than 100 businessmen, most of the prominent businessmen here in Mexico, an international bank, and they wanted to generate a portfolio of business plans just to enhance and strengthen the most relevant economic sectors here in Mexico. So we developed a framework that everyone can use just to match different elements and insights that can provide you some hints of where you can orient your investments. And this morning, I'm just gonna share it with you in a very high level, just so you can use it and develop your own. Well, please next slide, Ramses. Okay, some key takeaways. When talking about innovative businesses, we think that everything starts with an idea that suddenly comes to mind. It can also be the product of inspiration, or other times we think that it's like an epiphany or some muses that inspire us. In general, we see great innovators of ancient and modern times with an aura of mysticism, but we believe that this is just a process that when you just know it and realize that you can train it and develop it, you will be able to see opportunities in your own field or economic sector, or even in other related industries. Okay, innovation calls for the exploration of different sources of information to solve problems. Innovation is never linear. It is synthesizes of different domains of knowledge. Innovation is an ecosystem. It all starts with a strategic framework. And the fourth takeaway is that to identify innovative business opportunities, apply appropriate tools for the job. This morning, I'm gonna review 3 free databases that you can use and that you can apply to your analysis and your own model. Well, as we are going to see next, innovation is never a single event, and rather than following a linear path as we saw, effective innovators combine the wisdom of diverse fields to synthesize information across domains. For example, we all know about Gutenberg, the creator of the printing press. Can we just go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Like him, we also know other great innovators such as Leonardo da Vinci and other characters of our time, such as Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and Zuckerberg. They all share the characteristic of using this mental scheme that I'm going to share with you this morning. But first of all, I just want to rely on this example just to see that you don't have to start from the scratch, and you don't have to invent everything related with an innovation. You just, in this knowledge era, we have access to a lot of sources of knowledge, and if we just develop the capacity to observe, to do our research, and strategic research, and envision what can be the result, we just can develop products and services that have the potential to disrupt the things as we know it right now. Okay, let's see. Imagine we are in the 15th century, 6 centuries ago. Like any innovator, Gutenberg showed curiosity to see the discoveries of his time. He tried new things, performed different jobs, and carried out various activities that we call nowadays, or that we know as hobbies today. At the time, there was in Europe the significant problem of producing books on a big scale and with a cheaper process when the demand for books increased. Making a book was a very slow and expensive process. Therefore, Gutenberg began to work on a solution. Around these days, the technique of wood engraving was common in Europe. It allowed many images to be printed on canvas or paper from a single plate. Still, the printing sector needed a mechanical printing system. By the time, Gutenberg saw another invention, the movable types, letters carved from metal that could combine to form the words and lines on a page of text. He also realized that paper production was more efficient using linen and hemp instead of the costly process of making scrolls from the animal skins. As we can see, Gutenberg did not have to create a better way to produce paper, the movable type, or even the ink to create the printing press. He had to apply a mental model that I will show you this morning to identify business opportunities. And what we can conclude about Gutenberg's example is this. Big thoughts are fun to romanticize, but it's many small insights coming together that bring big ideas into the world. The big question here is where we can find these small insights. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please, Ramses? Okay, here is an example. I just want to show you a big matter here. I was talking with a friend the other day about how the profiles of the millennials and Gen Z generation members, you can find these profiles in LinkedIn that they have experience and they are very interesting in a very uncommon fields. And in my point of view, that is not a bad thing. It's totally the opposite, because when you try things that at first sight are not related, is where innovation started, because you develop the ability of relationship and you start to make some linkages between elements that for the other people are not related at all. So, for example, if Johannes Gutenberg lives in our times, it could be an inventor, printer, publisher, goldsmith, and also it could be a DJ and yoga guru. So it's just to exemplify that it's very important for an innovator have different fields to get inspiration, even if they are not related. Okay, the next one, please. Okay, this is what I call the innovation circle, and is the model that I think Gutenberg just followed to create the printing press. And it all starts with developing our observation capacity. But beyond that, I will call it examining here and there. Have a frame of reference. What are your sources of information, your intelligence reports, your work networks? As a second step, we have to develop our capacity to connect elements to bring together aspects within and outside your industry or your economic sector. Begin asking yourselves which factors of A are related to B, C, or D, and so on. Exploring the innovations and technology driving other industries allow us to make strategic connections with the potential to improve the way we design, produce, deliver, and trade our current products and services. And finally, the third step is to develop our ability to envision probable outcomes of the previous connections and its potential. So as you can see, this is why we call this process the innovation circle. And I just want to show you this quote from a very important innovator that I think that you will guess who is he. And the quote says, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards." The author of this quote is Steve Jobs. And I just want to, and it's a paradox because he is one of the best innovator examples of our times. And to be an innovator, you have to develop the capacity to connect the dots looking forward, just to see what can be the result, to put together elements that in appearance are not related. So I just want to show you this quote. Next slide, please. Okay, next one. Okay, now let's review our model to identify innovative business opportunities. These are a few elements that we used that we use in our exploration, but you can add other sources of information. For example, you can add some intelligent reports. So maybe you have like a group of experts in certain areas that you just can bring together in a focus group and start to get some insights. But the step one is to analyze the structure of your industry or economic sector. This will allow you to understand the different components, the interactions between them, and how the value flows through it. Then we have the mega trends. This is our reference about what are the technologies, the big forces that are shaping many aspects of our lives. Then we have the global markets, where we can provide our products and services. And finally, we can develop a pattern analysis. The next slide, please. Okay, this is a very high-level diagram of a cluster. And well, as I said, this will allow you to understand the different components, the linkages, the interactions between them. We can see, for example, in the main production chain, the raw materials and supplies, the intermediate products, final products, and how we can use different processes to add value to the raw materials and then just turning into intermediate products and final products. Then we have the distribution and logistics and the final client. Okay, this is the supply chain or the production chain that we all know, but when we call this a cluster, well, when we add the related industries, the support services, and the infrastructure, talking about human capital, research and development centers, financial services, technology parks, we are bringing together these externalities to our production chain, and most of the innovations occurs in these related elements, because one technology that is being developed in an industry that is not really connected to our supply chain, maybe that technology we will find an application, and that is when disruption occurs. Next slide, please. Later on, we have another important source of information, is the one related to megatrends. But what are megatrends? They are significant forces, as I said, in human and technological development with the potential to influence our present and will shape our future in different areas of our lives. Governments, institutions, and companies must consider them to design both their short-term and long-term objectives and focus their efforts and resources. Here are some examples of megatrends and their impact in some industries. And as Ramses said at the beginning of the talk, COVID-19 just accelerate the pace of how megatrends or some megatrends are impacting our lives. For example, uh, experience more. Experience more, it is defined as consumers prioritizing experience over things, where consumers engage directly with a product or service. And in return, they receive an enhanced and unique interaction with the brand, appealing to the senses and using technology as an enabler. Brands strive to provide a value-added experience. For example, um, there is a game named Fortnite by Epic Games. It's one of the most successful video games and has extended its appeal through virtual concerts. So far, Marshmello and Travis Scott performed to tens of millions of Fortnite fans in 2020. Virtual concerts in the metaverse will be where gaming, creativity, and tech innovation intersect to offer one-off exclusive experiences. Now, we think of this trend as just for adolescents and millennials. But how is this going to impact your industry? Are you ready to close deals and reach millions of consumers in the metaverse? How this mega trend can impact for example, automotive industry? We are going to see it next. Okay, we have a second mega trend, virtual reality. We have heard a lot about virtual reality, mainly in games, but there are other applications not so evident. In 2021, virtual and augmented reality will increasingly become utilized by car manufacturers and dealers across various business functions, including design, testing, and selling. VR showrooms will become popular, providing customers with a more immersive experience at a relatively small cost to dealerships. For example, Jaguar's Virtual Reality Center in the UK has a dimensional facility that allows engineers with 3D glasses to view interior and exterior car designs. Such technologies are also being applied at car dealerships with VR showrooms, allowing customers to experiment with a plethora of vehicles while also providing them with many vehicle customization tools for a more personalized customer approach. These are just two examples of how megatrends impact the automotive industry. The next slide, please. Okay, if we go back to the structure or the map of our automotive industry, we can see that, for example, the megatrend virtual reality, it's a technology developed for in another industry. But this is impacting the production processes in the automotive industry and the car dealership. So this is how we start to put together different insights and elements that can give us some innovation hints that can change the way as we said, we produce, we design, we deliver, and we sell our products and services. The next one, please. Okay, and finally, we have access to global markets. The purpose of this is to identify the main importers of a specific product, the size of the market, the top exporter countries for that product, and if we can have a strategic advantage related to a better location, logistics, production cost, or have a free trade agreement with the destination country. This type of analysis is taking a significant role in the pandemic because of the disruption of many international supply chains. To solve the convulsions in the shipping market, for example, manufacturers are encouraged to shift more of their outsourced work from Asia to another zone. For example, nowadays, US manufacturers are moving many of their processes from China to Mexico. Here, I can recommend you to access the trade map. This is a database which is free access and provides data in form of tables, graphs, and maps, indicators on export performance, international demand, alternative markets, and competitive markets, as well as a directory of importing and exporting companies. This is free and is sponsored by the World Trade Organization. And finally, we can realize a pattern analysis. A pattern analysis landscape is very important because it can provide us where is the current stage of a technology. For example, we also can get information about which organizations are working with a specific technology, levels of investment behind that technology, who are the key inventors, what technologies and industries are being targeted, and how long it takes for inventions to reach the market. For example, we are watching right now the S-curve. That is a very important model to see the stage where a technology is right now. And think about cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies just start with like a ferment and then just began its way until it's getting more popular and it's getting more applications in the market until it reached the maturity. So at the beginning, we have the early adopters. We have just a few companies, a few entrepreneurs experimenting and contributing to the spread of the knowledge of the technology. And then we have the majority and the late majority. If you incorporate this analysis to your model to identify business opportunities, you can go and make an agreement with a company and buy the license of a specific product or technology and bringing it to your market. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can also go with inventors, with the companies that are investing in a specific technology. Well, that's the whole model. That's the framework. Spasiba. I'm open to questions, and I hope that this can be so informative and it can bring value to your analysis. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your presentation. I really enjoyed it, same as Victor. But also, I wanted to ask you a very, very quick question, because you talk about mega trends and how governments and institutions and decision-making actors should focus on to know more about what is happening regarding experience more and virtual reality, and at the same time having information and to take this information very careful from maybe this kind of websites that you showed to us. What is your opinion that people, organizations should be careful of whom and from where they are taking this information? Because having these decisions, there is a massive information available. But what do you think about what is the best strategy to choose which information is the best for your business or for your organization?
Okay, there are some free databases, for example, the one from the Institute for the Future, and we also have some database that you have to pay a subscription, and mostly this is trial and error. You have to be very curious, as I said. To be an innovator, you have to search here and there and see which information is valuable for you. For example, right now we have some examples of young people innovating and disrupting many fields in the technology area, and they don't have like a formal professional career, but they are very, very good getting information from different sources, even from places like Reddit and online forums. They get information from other colleagues. For me, it has been very important to always get in touch with academics, with people, experts from the academy, because they are more rigorous about the quality of the information. So it's very important that you have in your team group this profile, because that will save you from information that is not official or it doesn't have any value. So
Yes, I agree. Having objective and robust information that is also reliable makes you to be more legitimate when doing business. So yes, totally agree.
yes, you're
Thank
right.
you so much. Thank you so much again, Daniel. And now I will bring also now Victor. So we are again three of us. And now we
Thank you,
are
Ramses.
thank you so much. I really appreciate and enjoy the presentations of both of you. And now we have this session for questions and answers. And we have some comments on Facebook. As far as I could read, we have some questions. But if you don't mind, I will start with some questions from the audience, if it's okay for you. Okay, so I have this question is from Meche Toledo. She says, great presentation. This question is for Victor. Regarding your experience, what is the most complex legal issue when investing abroad? Maybe when investing in Russia, could be?
Yes, I have some experience on investing abroad, but it's more about real estate. And nowadays, the most complex legal issue for that is to reach this real estate abroad because of the corona situation. But when you talk about investment to Russia, I would say that maybe the most complex matter. Of course, every business has its own specific issues and answers. But probably the most specific is relations with the local partners, especially if you have a joint venture, or if you have, like in my presentation, I had the examples with the dealers who are your basically main partners and main providers to the market. So it's like it's always like some sort of chemistry. It's very close to what is you have in a family. So you have trust, but at the same time you should not to give too much trust, not to in order not to have discourage. So that's why I think this is the main thing. So if you have a joint venture, you should have clear conditions, some terms and contract and agreement signed with your partner. If you have dealer, you also have to have strong agreement and frames which each and rules which each side should comply with and respect. And yes, probably this is the most complex. And even if you talk about making investment to Russia with no partners at all. So you just come to Russia and do it by your own. You have always some counterparty, for instance, your landlord, where you are making your production or store or warehouse, or you have government, which also counterparty, meaning that they could provide you with some properties, with maybe some tax reliefs, maybe they are buyer for your equipment, for your product. So this is even if you don't have a joint venture, you have this kind of key partner, key counterparty with whom you should build these relations and
Thank you so much, Victor. There is one question here that is for both of you. It's from Evgenia Valeva. Thank you so much for your presentations. In your opinion, Victor and Daniel, what are the most relevant sectors for doing business between Mexico and Russia? Who would like to answer first? Maybe.
Ramses, maybe you have some comments.
Well, yes, I will have some comments, but maybe at the end of your answer. So, guys, Daniel or Victor. Yeah.
Daniel, I can share my opinion. It's quite basic. I think that nowadays in 21st century, after this COVID, not yet COVID economy, but COVID psychology, I think that all things concerned to life science, to human being, to medicine, this is something which is having most effect, and this is something which, for instance, Russia can bring to Mexico. And when it comes to backwards, I think it's also the human resources which you have in Mexico. You have knowledge how to deal with the big partners next to you, with the US. So Russia having some sort of common situation with China, we have a big partner next to us, like China. So this kind of mental issues, maybe they could be also good. And then finally, both Russia and Mexico, we have a lot of nice people, nice ladies, nice men, handsome men. So this is also maybe be the good field to make a cooperation. Yes, Ramses?
Yes, I agree. We have very talented people, and really we can just sometimes take away some stereotypes of that the Russians are cold, that Mexicans are lazy. So I agree totally with you that we share a lot of opportunities, a lot of similarities of how people, the way we are doing business, approachable business, a friendly way, how to this ice breaking issue when you want to know more the person. I believe this is a good way between Mexico and Russia. And regarding this, just specifically most relevant sectors, I believe high tech is a really this industry. Also, all the direction going to the innovation of what also Daniel explained, that to be an entrepreneur, there are these startups that are in Mexico and in Russia that are giving new ways of doing business. But I don't want to talk too much. I want to give the floor to Daniel. Daniel, please share with us your thoughts.
Yes, I don't know exactly what are the main industries or business opportunities between these two countries, but I know how to explore and how to identify them as we saw. For example, if I will use a trade map, I will search for the principal products that Russia exports to the world, and I will see the market in Mexico and where Mexico is importing those goods. And mainly, we can see a competitive advantage as we review in our talk. Right now, the world is so interconnected. Distance is not a decisive factor to decide to do business with a country or not. And I think that will provide us a hint or a clue about this. And in the opposite, for example, here in Mexico, we have like very traditional products. For example, we have these big companies that are that provides raw products or supplies. For example, bread, these concrete, and they are everywhere in the world. So we can see how these products perform in Russia imports, and it's a way that we just can find these markets that haven't been explored by our country. Another approach is to see the clusters, which are the most relevant clusters in Russia, what are the most relevant clusters here in Mexico, and try to find if we can develop some collaboration or some projects. That's another approach. So the key factor here is that you have a framework, that you have different source of information, and as any inventor in the history, you have to start to explore, and you have to start making linkages and relationships and connections, and you will find an opportunity there. So I'm so sure that there are a lot of opportunities for business between these two countries. These countries are emerging economies. I really believe that they share a lot of similarities, and I hope that we will have another opportunities to deep in this kind of analysis.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you so much again, Victor. I saw here another question, but it was similar, the question. So maybe I believe, Victor, you have also a question, right, that you wanted to do to Daniel?
Yeah, if you allow just shortly, Daniel, it's very interesting presentation from you, and I just want to know your opinion because it's considered that we have one big problem with the innovations and inventions in Russia, that we are full of ideas, and there are a lot of smart people who are bringing ideas. But the biggest problem comes when you have to bring idea to industry and to make it serial. I think it's not only a Russian problem, but all around. But how you see it from your side? How you see it in Mexico? And do you have any hints how to solve it?
Okay. Well, that has been a very big issue for us, because coming from the academy, working in academic projects, the academic expert will always think about science, and science sometimes it can be very theoretical and rigid, and you have to align the interests of the academic expert and the interest from the businessman, and that's the importance that I give to the concept of cluster, because in a cluster you bring together all these actors, and the research centers must develop science, must develop technology, but it must have an application into the economy, into the real world. That's the reason that cluster initiatives are so important, because that's the way that you avoid that this knowledge that you are developing in the universities, in the research centers, will have a way out to get into the market. Uh, that's an strategy that we are applying here in Mexico.
Great, thank you.
Well,
You're welcome.
I agree. I just would like to do this additional comment. I agree with you, Daniel, that having the framework and having the way to explore what you want to do, you need to do this equilibrium between the practice and the academic issue, finding the way where to match. And the clusters is a good way to find the collaboration of these four images where private, public sector, academy, and social leaders could be involved and can help business to improve opportunities as a home in a home country or in the host country where you want to do this internationalization process. So I believe we are following the agenda of today. So if you have an additional comment to make, it will be highly appreciated. But I would just want to add that it was a fantastic having you here, Daniel from Mexico. So I believe we'll stop raining now and you can enjoy the weather. And well, Victor, same. Well, we are almost neighbors here in St. Petersburg, but same. I hope it will be better the weather. So to hang out tomorrow on Sunday. And again, to our audience, I appreciate the questions that you have done. Please, if there are other questions after this webinar is finished to be online, send it to us. You have the contacts of Daniel that he also give to us, also from Victor. As I could say, Daniel and Victor are good professionals, very perfect professionals, and they are experts on their field. So I appreciate both of you being here and also having this small commercial. If you want to contact Latam-Eurasia, also I will give the contact. Please send us an email, contact us on our social media, and we will be doing these webinars more weekends with other topics. So if you're interested in one specific topic, please write to us. What would you like from us to gather some experts from the fields? Currently, we are working a team, consulting group, and Sustava together. So it will be great that we, all of us, can give you some other webinars from other issues. And well, it will be just from my side. And thank you again. Thank you so much again, Daniel and Victor.
My pleasure.
So have a nice morning in Mexico and have a good evening
Thank
in
you.
Brussels. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night. Good morning.